Workshop. All right, welcome everybody. So this is a city council workshop, which means it's very informal. Anybody can speak whenever they choose, just of course, respect one another when they're talking. And with that, we'll call this workshop to order. City manager.
Today's workshop is the last workshop. We have taken all of city council's input, and then Geo has formulated and updated chapter 23 of excuse me, of our code of ordinances city council section. As noted last week, we only added one more section that hadn't been fully discussed. It is a completely new section, which includes the ethics and conflict of interest information. They object to discussion to get your last input so that we can present the first reading at the next meeting.
Okay, good deal. All right, council member Nance, you want to start? We can just go around.
I've looked at that ethics section. I didn't really see anything bad.
Okay. Councilmember Sandate,
No additions.
Councilmember Stevens.
I'm good on the ethics section. It's straightforward. It calls it out nicely, so I think it's well done.
Okay, good deal. Miss Lori Griffin. Okay. Mr. City Secretary.
That I put that together based off of some stuff I found from Austin. So I mean, I liked it, the conflict of interest provision.
Okay,
No comment.
okay, all right, so the conflict of interest, I also thought looked great. I do want to go back just a little bit to Article 2, Section 23-8, Parliamentary Procedure. It's under Section C, Duties of the Presiding Officer. And then number 1. I thought that I foresee a need possibly in the future, not necessarily with this council, but future councils, that we might want to add a clarifying statement there where it says the mayor or mayor pro tem shall preside with fairness and in part maintaining absolute neutrality by posture, demeanor, action, and language while other council members are speaking. I think we all understand that because the mayor over the years has been able to offer their opinion in regards to whatever issue we may be discussing. And with this, I'm afraid somebody may read it and interpret it to mean that you are not supposed to give an opinion, that you have to remain neutral on all items. So I just thought maybe that little clarifying statement would prevent any possible foreseeable problems that may arise. It's important that the presiding officer, whether it be the mayor or mayor pro tem, be able to offer their opinions and ideas and thoughts just because of the leadership role that the mayor or mayor pro tem may have, as well as the public often comes to the mayor or mayor pro tem and states their opinions. Also accountability for the mayor and mayor pro tem so that residents will know what position the mayor or mayor pro tem is taking in regards to them being educated as far as voting on the mayor or mayor pro tem in future elections.
So you wanted to add after action and language while other council members are speaking?
Yes, isn't that what this is basically saying, City Secretary?
I mean, I would say that it doesn't, the way it's currently written, it doesn't prohibit you from it, but like clarification would.
Yeah, I think it would be.
Or something to the effect of, the mayor is entitled to offer their opinion.
Well, that's good
Some kind
too.
of clarifying thing.
Yes, because I foresee that there could be in the future a possible questioning of this. And we want this ordinance so that it doesn't have to be amended every year. We know that council has a lot of things to do. The list is sky high and we're only 5 to 6 feet tall, and we can't, maybe a little bit more if you're very fortunate, and we can't do everything. So hopefully what we're doing with chapter 23 will endure for at least a couple of years maybe 3 or more would be great, so that city councils in the future and city managers and secretaries aren't spending time working on this. So I think a clarifying statement would be in order. Thoughts?
It doesn't bother me at all. And then I was wondering right below that, the A and the B. Those two, the restrict orderly speech for A and B, directly under the duties of the presiding officer section there.
Yeah.
That basically just says the exact same thing. Can we just make it say presentation or discussion of any item?
Oh, A and B does
Yes.
say the same thing. Right, it's.
Just to
okay,
shrink it
yes.
up?
I didn't even notice that.
So take away A and B, just make it as the mayor or pro tem or council shall not. Or shall.
Shall not,
You don't need the A or B, you just add it in the rest of that sentence, so.
yeah,
Sure.
yeah. Just
Okay.
to make it more concise.
So I'll get rid of A and B, and then we'll.
Yeah, for part of the, for council members shall not restrict orderly speech, or you'll just finish that sentence instead of it being full.
And then what you said in regards to the mayor is still entitled to offer their opinion was more eloquently stated than what I had written. There's our coffee pot.
So everybody is in agreement, so I'll go ahead and just make those changes and add that clarifying statement, right?
Okay, any other discussion, comments? Thoughts? Hey, Councilmember Stevens?
So I was not here last week, and the only other comment and I know you talked about it, but I don't understand why we don't want to continue as part of our. See, the order of business, the opportunity for people to make public comments at the beginning of the meeting or during a particular sections. I find it.
I think the only reason I was wondering about that is if it could get complex at all. I just was seeking clarification in it where if the public was only had the option to speak at public comment section, then it would all be very simple, whether there was one person talking or, 30 people talking, because it would all be situated right at that time. And I think when we were discussing it, the interesting part was if they, and we would probably need some clarification on this, Megan, on the part where public comment, there was no interaction, no engagement, right? We sit and listen.
Yeah, that's
Sure.
state law, if I'm understanding, public comments and public hearings, we can't respond.
And if we moved that to where they were able to comment in front of action items or discussion items, then we could engage with them.
During, if you have it set up, so what we currently have it set up is that they can make their comments during the action. So then it would open it up, it wouldn't be a public comment anymore. It would open it up for conversation.
So that we could have a conversation back and forth with them. The only, in my opinion, the only downside of that would be the, if there was 30 people, like a Dollar General situation or something like that, then Geo is situating 30 people to define where they are gonna be talking. And that's, conceptual, because probably rarely are we ever gonna have 2 people come make public comment, much less 30. But if we had that, it seems very easy from a structural point of view to just say everyone talks at this one point in time, as opposed to 5 people want to talk on this action item, 5 people want to talk on this discussion item, a couple of them make public comment. And then the one final thing I was going to ask is if they wanted to speak during 2 things, like right now, they can come up, they can speak during public comment and public hearing, but at no other point in time. If they were interested in a action item and a discussion item, both, would they need to do all their speaking at the public comment section? Okay,
Yeah, it says in the ordinance currently that all of the time will be used for however many items. they have. So it's not 3 minutes per item, it's 3 minutes for all the items you want to talk about in that 3 minutes.
and they would just need to know that if they're interested in 2 items, that all their comment needs to be done at the public comment section and not on the action item or discussion item.
Yeah, and on the proposed agenda that we drafted, we had help language that basically said that.
I think the other comment that was made in regards to that is that the public reaches out to their council person. The council person's the representative and should voice the opinion at that point. Wasn't that a statement? I don't remember if you made that statement or who made that statement. That's the other item I seem to remember.
We had discussed if they were gonna reach out and have a conversation, it could occur outside of a council meeting.
Yeah, I just find it of value. Not everyone can get a hold or whatever. My experience in the past has been one or two people, they say, hey, I want to talk about this particular item. My view is we ought to give them that chance. It's really for our deliberation. They may bring something forward that doesn't come up. Because I just tell you, I mean, if you got 10 people coming up for a public comment, I'll write as fast as I can for notes. We're not allowed to ask many questions. For an action item, my view is that's the opportunity to be able to ask a clarifying question. Hey, that doesn't make sense. What are you talking about? And we can't do that. Otherwise, we are not allowed to discuss with the public at all. And I don't think that's fair for us in the discussion.
Is there an avenue for that? As far as like when, if someone said something during public comment that is absolutely pertinent to the discussion item, is there a method that could occur where the conversation would happen, like the mayor calling them up, council person?
We've removed that
It's gone.
from the.
Geo
actual-
said yes.
Remove the ability for public comment or comments to be called. That was part of the discussion.
Yeah, we did remove it in this last draft.
But yes,
Oh.
there is kind of, yeah. We
Yeah,
removed
because
the
it's,
last
we're
draft.
currently, it's at the discretion of the mayor,
Yeah.
right? Because we don't have it currently, but the mayor is, or the presiding officer, the pro tem is allowed to call people up at their discretion.
So, no, we only did that amongst us as an agreement. It is not in the ordinance.
Okay.
We just said, hey, let's give it a whirl. In my view, we gave it a whirl, now I'm going to codify it.
That would actually come from where, so right now, if somebody was gonna be brought up, how would that process work?
You can't.
It's only during public comment.
Only during
Yeah.
public comment, and they cannot do it at any other time. Because that would solve the problem if something like that was in there where it sounds like Mr. Stevens is wanting the back and forth conversation and to be able to get feedback. And then what I would prefer is the simplicity of everything from a structural viewpoint of having everyone at public comment.
I'm okay if we say public comment, so long as we have the ability to ask questions when someone's made a public comment. We just can't ask it during public comment. I'd rather ask during the action item. I'm okay with that. That fills my needs.
Or we can,
We can put it back in, we're at the discretion of, and.
Percent.
the council member or the mayor by
Yeah.
simple request.
I'm
So
okay
that
with
they could request it, so and so comes back to the podium and.
Yep.
Is that,
I mean, I was gonna say, I wrote this on the sheet. It sounds like what we were arguing about is right here, the very first part of the ordinance. And Stevens is interested in this very first part. Holds public meetings to gather information, take action, obtain input, and lead the city. And that's what he's very interested in, is getting that feedback. And then the very next one is the one I'm interested in, that to ensure efficient governance of meetings.
what do you mean? The ordinance?
Ordinance 2024-0403.
Yeah, the whereas, the preamble, okay.
Councilmember Sandate?
Well, it's hard not to participate in a 3-minute deal, but we're not allowed to discuss it.
Right, by state law, correct? Mhm.
Yeah, public comments is okay.
Yeah, in public hearings. Thoughts, Lori?
If you don't allow discussion, you're gonna put yourself in a bad position because you're going to try to interpret what they're saying. They're trying to spit out in 3 minutes.
So where do y'all think the best place to add this would be?
Well,
Be section 2317 or around.
Yeah, I would say 2317 audience participation,
Yep, that's where we're going.
Okay.
and it would just be the mayor or council member may call upon a resident or community member during an activity item.
or a discussion item, do we want to limit?
I wouldn't put it for discussion because you guys are already putting items for discussion based off of residents, where, you know, you have so-and-so making a presentation, you have so-and-so.
Needing
I think
stop
if they have
signs or,
Information discussion, and that's them, and they come up here and have it. That's not, we call people throughout the whole
So if I were to add number 7, do you think that would make sense? Or do y'all have another area?
I think it's,
7, and then we'll write,
Yeah, because that's right after, so number 6 basically outlines residents who are added to the agenda through the mayor or city council member. So we're already telling
May
them.
provide backup
So
documentation.
that's their
Mhm.
information discussion, and then number 7 could be
The mayor or council member.
call upon during an action item.
yeah, they call upon someone, and they gotta be in attendance.
Mhm.
okay.
Yeah, right, in attendance,
the
in person attendance.
Yes. in person.
Yeah.
And there's no, it's always good to have more information. I am pro information.
Because I think Lori's point was valid. We may misinterpret something.
Well, there's also throughout the ordinance, it does say city staff may ask commenters clarifying questions, respond with facts, and explain policy. Yeah. So during a public comment, I do have the ability to ask them.
You do, yes.
Ah.
Yeah, she does, we don't.
Okay.
I like to leave you.
We can write a note, airplane it to you. Ask them this.
Can't do that.
How about number 7, the presiding officer or a city council member may, by simple request, call upon a member of the audience to partake in a discussion or to contribute during action item. What,
I like to say seek feedback.
Yeah, seek feedback during an action item, and she'll be limited to 3 minutes.
Yeah,
presiding officer or a city council member may, by
Yes.
simple request, call upon a member of the audience to provide feedback
right.
on an action item.
Limited to 3 minutes.
Okay.
And then I guess during public comment, they could state that they may have more information that would be pertinent to the action item. So we know
They
like
could, yeah,
if they're gonna call them up or something, or hopefully they got in touch with us and they said,
you got it.
So that was one thing we're changing. Comment cards to include identifying information so that they want one of you to
That's
seek
right.
out.
Great.
then
We
we'll
can
just-
reach them. Yes.
Super, good.
So they'll have a little box to check if they want us to
That's
call
a
them.
great idea.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that came out of the last meeting too. I forgot about that. Thank
Okay,
you.
good.
Right.
Ready when they are.
Okay.
I have-
All right.
I
Any
did have,
manager? Oh.
something that came up, just a little bit of clarification.
Okay.
23-9A. This just being a little picky, but, the way that we have it written right now says that residents may not add items to an agenda, but may make a request to their city council member to place an item on an agenda. Resident requests may be added to an agenda at the sole discretion of the mayor or a city council member. So the first sentence to me tells me it's only their own council member or the mayor. And the second one tells me it's any city council member. So what would y'all prefer? Would you rather a resident have to go to the mayor or their own city council member only? Or can they go to anyone on the council to add the item?
I think to their council member.
I think
That's
it
my
should
gut
be their
instinct.
representative.
I do too. I don't think it should be the mayor.
So it'll say to their city council member or the mayor, and then I'll just update the language in the second sentence to the mayor or their city council member. Right?
Well, we don't want them coming to the mayor to put something on the agenda.
Okay, well, we can remove the mayor. completely.
Y'all agree with that?
Yeah,
Because I'm not gonna be mayor forever.
But then, but it would prohibit the mayor from adding a resident item.
Yeah, I think the mayor's responsibility would be, because this is usually what I ask, have you reached out to your representative?
I think we all do that.
Yeah.
I reached out.
To your representative, I think that they need to talk to their representative of their ward. So the mayor may not know exactly what's going on in all the wards.
Yep.
You know, I'm familiar with my ward because I live in it. But if somebody from Ward 4 or 2 or 5 or 3 were to reach out to me, I may not. I feel like it's better for them to reach out to their representative who lives in that. ward.
the one question I would have on that would be a council member stonewalling somebody. So like if somebody in my ward came to me and said, hey, I really want to get this on the agenda, and I say, I don't think it's important. I like having a second
That's a
option,
good point.
maybe through a mayor. So that we can't go to another council member, but we could go to the mayor to get something just in case.
Yeah, but
There's a
then you're
council.
also putting the mayor in a predicament too by doing
Yeah.
that.
But she is elected at large, so they all.
Oh, that's a
vote
good point.
for her. Or.
No, that's a good point. I didn't think about that.
So there are others, there are some people who will just push and push and push, whether it's worthwhile or not.
Sure.
I mean, I'm sure we all deal with residents that we know
Oh, yes.
that I'd rather not, they say, hey, I'm gonna get Catherine. Have at it, good luck, do your thing. I'd rather not go there to say, I want this one, no, I'm not gonna head down that path. And it's on the margins. I get your point. But if someone's stonewalling, it shouldn't be on city council.
And I think you're right on that. And I think I have had very few requests from mine, so I'm viewing it from that perspective. I haven't had very active people asking that, so that's why I think I would agree with you on that.
Yeah.
I think we try it this way with their council member,
Yeah.
like the mayor said, give it a couple
Give it a
of
shot.
years. Cause right now I think Catherine created a social image,
Uh-huh.
and that's why people go to her.
Uh-huh.
People coming in or changing, doesn't matter, may not have that social image. And really need to go to the person that voted.
That forces us to have a relationship with our constituents too.
You
I
got-
wasn't gonna say, it.
Exactly.
Wasn't gonna say.
Thank
it.
you, thank you.
And, Lori, do you have an opinion?
I think they do need to have a different. You call about it, but I think it already exists, right? You can show up.
Sure,
So
well,
they can show up, but they're not allowed to talk about something that's
not on the agenda.
In my opinion, I think I'm gonna take that out, but I'm probably a lost voice on that one. Cause the state law,
Chaos.
That means
sorry.
that.
Now, they could
Hey.
contact, let's think about it this way, okay. So Lori wants to talk about something and her council member just doesn't like her
Oh,
from years ago. She just doesn't like her. And so Lori can call you. You can put something on the agenda. So you are there out, correct? You and Gio.
But the reason that we implemented that policy is to not give favoritism to one resident over another. To add
But
items.
it's not favoritism if you have a routine procedure. So let's say that they can email or go to the office and do it. It's just as long as, they do it in writing. So it's not, so you're not interpreting their verbiage. Because there's always a lot of terrible things when you interpret someone's.
And if it comes to us first,
They go to the councilman first, and when they go to you, the first question you just say, did you go to the council?
And that's typically what we do for certain items.
And then they-
say, well, yeah, but,
Yeah. most
my
of them.
councilman's just not hearing me.
But I think it also might create conflict between administration and this council,
Oh.
the council member doesn't add it, but then the city manager does. I'm just saying.
But all they're doing is getting it on the agenda. Right? That's all they're doing. No? That's not what they're all doing.
What are they doing? Elaborate.
Oh,
In my position, it could look like I'm undermining the council. Remember, these are my bosses. And Darren says, I don't wanna put it on there. He calls me and says, hey, this is going on. I don't wanna discuss it. And then I go and put it on.
I've seen cities require multiple council members for items, maybe alternatively, it could be the mayor and another council member. But what's the?
Something so simple,
what is
really
the,
complicated.
Or we just take
What
away
can we
there.
solve?
God,
How does a resident get something on the agenda?
Yeah, that's what we're trying to solve. How does a resident get something on the agenda?
Take
if-
away there and any council member can.
I asked a rhetorical question. Have we had the issue?
we get requests all the time and we always direct them to council, so it's just solidifying our current policy.
That's my right.
And we've never really had a
So
conflict.
what is it, they write something out and they give it to you?
That's a public comment on things that are on the agenda.
On the agenda.
Only
Yeah,
on the agenda.
according to Texas state law, TOMA, it has to be on the
No.
agenda. Because if we post the agenda and somebody stands up and speaks about something that's completely off of it, then other residents had no idea that that was even gonna be mentioned and thought about, so they didn't come because they didn't know that was good. It has to be on the agenda.
So Texas law allows people to talk on public comment on items that are not on the agenda. Texas law changed 4 years ago on that.
That's true, it's just the council can't have a discussion, and then have to remember these emails and
Okay.
things of that nature that we've gotten in the past. Means somebody could come up and talk about anything, You know what I mean? If it's on the agenda, at least it's germane to what the council's gonna be making decisions on that.
So it solves the problem if you allow them to say, if all they do is get up and say, I would like something to be considered to be put on the agenda, and they hand you paperwork, you can put it off so you can prepare yourself, and then they still have a way to do that, and there's no favoritism, there's no interpretation of favoritism on that whatsoever. It just causes you to wonder whether the person is doing their job in their work.
What the law allows public comment on anything.
That is true.
So then they could stand up and say, I would like for council to consider this for the agenda.
They could, but we prohibit it.
Oh, well, we can't prohibit it if it's state law.
We have prohibited it. Our deal
The way we
says
say they have to speak on something on the
on
agenda.
the agenda.
It's a reasonable rule, which would be allowed by state law.
So state law does allow us to
It
do
does
that.
allow that.
And if
Okay.
we wanted to allow comments about anything, we could.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
I see.
But you're wanting to control the task at hand, right? So you can get your job done, you're not up to 2 in the morning. So they just need, they need a way to, if they feel like they're frustrated and they can't get it through, if that ever happens, if there is a way for them to get it considered to be put on the agenda.
You can just open up to all council members or the mayor as well. It's really up to y'all and how y'all want those requests handled.
And
Okay.
the majority of requests also come from, 80%, 20%, like. The majority is gonna be from a couple select people that want to push things and that are active, and the rest don't worry about it. So the rules we're making are to provide borders around.
Yes, it's
Active
to preempt issues.
Right.
So if a council member doesn't agree that merits discussion, that's their choice not to add it.
And then the
Do we
person
allow
can
someone
vote the
else?
council member off. Yeah.
Yep.
But do you all allow somebody else, another council member to add it? If they think it's merited.
I think that's gonna cause too much tension and strife. I think we leave it and just
As their
strike the
city
mayor.
council.
They need to go to their council person.
Okay, sounds good.
And future mayors, I hope will be happy with that. No. But that's the way I see it. They need to go to their council person. I had somebody reach out to me last week about something, and my first question was, have you spoken with your council member? Here is her contact information.
Righty.
I did not have any input, but with all of your notes, we have a few things to update. And then the first reading will be at the next meeting.
16th, right?
And it's usually cool.
I had one question on here that was, couple real quick. It would be section 23.5. 23.5, and it was B, ordinance procedures. 23.5 B. Ordinance procedures, and it's gonna be the I directly into that. To maximize review by members of the community during the ordinance process, all ordinances shall be recommended by the relevant board, commission, or committee when the subject matter of the ordinance would clearly benefit from input from a specific board, commission, or committee. How many, do we have ordinances that arise outside of committees right now?
Yes,
Oh, yeah,
How common is that? Pretty common?
we're
or-
doing one tonight on stop
to
signs.
say you got my initial list, didn't you? We do. Prime example, the one we're currently working on is tires, under sanitation, doing that actually originated from the employee. And state law and issues we've had with people hoarding tires. I have a long list of ordinances that ideally I would like to see get cleaned up. I'm not, well, I go to all the board meetings, but I'm not initiating it as a board person. So Gio and I and a lot of our employees will come up with suggestions and ideas, take it to the board that best represent it, and then move forward.
So all this is saying, if it could benefit from a consulting one, then it should arise there.
So animal control, you would want animal advisory board to help put some of their input. Planning and zoning should put their input when it comes to our zoning ordinances. Building standards is a quasi judicial, so we actually haven't gone to them for an ordinance update because they're the ones who have to enforce those as well. So we actually went through council to get those updated and clarified. Your parks board, you'd want them to work on the parks and swimming pool and things that pertain to that.
And then, so that shall is separate than the must, so there's nothing to worry about there.
So shall is mandatory,
Shall is mandatory.
Oh, yeah.
yes. So we may want to change that shall to may be recommended.
Why would you take, why not just make it shall?
Because after the comma, when it says when the subject matter of the ordinance would clearly benefit from input, that allows the flexibility to not have to go through the committee.
So sometimes, and I'm not saying we want to bypass our committees, but sometimes we want council to take lead to get the process rolling. I'm
STR.
gonna say it, not only STRs, but the hot committee has a problem meeting. So when we don't have quorums and we don't get the input, ordinances will take longer and longer to actually come before council. It doesn't mean that we can't do an initial presentation, workshop, information discussion item to council, and council can say, you know what, we'll take lead, or you know what, push it back to planning and zoning.
I get that. I just think it's in our best interest to push everything we can towards the relevant boards or commissions. What's the alternative word? Because it will go the other way as well. Someone council is gonna work to get the board. So.
This,
It goes both ways, you're absolutely correct.
I get it. Committee which I. Membership, we're gonna talk about it tonight.
Yes.
Okay, and so we gotta work our way through it. Part of the challenge is the hot committee is used to meeting once a year. That's all they do.
Yeah,
And we said, no, we're gonna meet 4 times a year, and they're thinking, oh, that's not what I signed up for. So
right.
they're rebelling. I get it. Okay,
Right.
but, and we're gonna talk tonight about conflict of interest. And some are gonna say that I'm off.
Yeah.
So I think it's one of those tough things to go work. Cause you'd like, so I get it. I just wanna make sure our emphasis is in the direction of talking to them and using them as opposed to
Mhm.
bypassing.
Yeah, because they're supposed to be our researchers.
well, that doesn't bother me at all. I was just wondering about that.
Okay. And then your next one?
The next one was number 4 in this same section. So before official presentation at a city council meeting, a copy of the draft ordinance should be submitted to the city council and to the city attorney for review. A minimum of 2 weeks will be provided to the city council and city attorney to review proposed ordinances. So 2 weeks provided to us and the city attorney. Does that happen all the time now or no?
So we currently have it, my draft ordinance to put structure in place was a week.
Yeah,
We've
by
added more
Wednesday,
time
yeah.
because we've had a slower response from the attorney.
So when we receive an ordinance by mail, then we should have 2 weeks to review that. Then it goes back to you guys. Or then it goes.
2 weeks before it's on an agenda for.
The first reading.
Gotcha, okay.
For us to talk about.
So the draft ordinance, so you guys, because Jill had already started preparing this, you guys got the draft ordinance last week. We've been talking about this for 6 months.
I know, it's been a while. So I'm hoping
That's
that
gonna
we
be
get
here
this
by the
done
way.
and councils don't have to look at it in several more years.
So when you get the updated version, either later on this week or the beginning of next week, the 2 weeks kind of doesn't fit this because you've already been given draft after draft.
After draft.
Well, I would say the one that I was kind of wondering about is the stop sign one, which, I'll vote for and everything else. I guess my question is, on that timetable, how does that work? Even for ordinances that, we're not recrafting an STR thing and everything else. We just want to get a stop sign up. Does that 2 week limit change anything in that? Like, did we have that 2 weeks in advance?
We had it a week in advance.
Because that's what we currently have set. Once
Okay.
this passes, then it's 13 days,
We've
correct?
been following this
We've
too,
been putting the. 2
for
weeks.
all the.
For the ordinances, okay.
and Waiting the 2 weeks, putting it on. the agenda.
Okay,
Okay, perfect. Want to make sure.
For the stop sign though, we just, because it isn't
I think
officially
that's
set,
what it was.
yeah.
we just.
Councilmember Sandate? Lori? No thoughts or comments on anything? We just, okay. I mean, you took the time to be here. We're including you.
She's sipping her coffee,
Yeah.
sipping her coffee and enjoying her cookies.
Yeah. the coffee pot comment, that was from Lori, because we were talking about disruption of city council meetings when like cell phones or something go off. And she said, well, how about the coffee pot? It seems to be disrupting the meeting because it's so loud. right. Yes. I don't think it's in the budget, though. We'd have to figure out what line item, right? Buy a new coffee pot. Right, I see more highlights. Councilmember Nance, do you have more?
I think that may be it, actually. That's it.
Is it? Councilmember Sandate,
That's it.
Councilmember Stevens.
No.
City Secretary, City Manager, Lori? No, this was quick. So are we ready to conclude this meeting?
Yep.
Oh, all right. So with that, the workshop's adjourned.